Let's talk about one simple fact. If you have poor hip mobility, you are more likely to tear your ACL. If your hip internal rotation is poor, you can be up to 5 times more likely to tear your ACL than someone with ideal hip mobility. And we are talking specifically about non-contact ACL tears. When one joint in your body lacks mobility, the joints upstream and downstream will have to compensate. So speaking specifically of the knee, if you are landing and pivoting or running and changing direction, you are internally rotating your tibia. If your femur is unable to internally rotate also as the tibia rotates, there will be an increased torque at the knee and an increase in the strain on the ACL. There have been multiple studies involving subjects with healthy knees, knees with ACL tears, and studies using cadavers to demonstrate these findings. Your ACL, pictured in red, originates toward the back on the bottom of your femur. It inserts toward the front on top of your tibia. We are talking about rotation today, but to be clear, there are other movements that can cause strain on your ACL. In addition to rotation, dynamic knee valgus, which is your knee moving laterally towards the center line of your body, can put strain on your ACL. A strong quad contraction with reduced hamstring co-contraction at or near full knee extension, like when you are aggressively decelerating, this will pull the tibia forward and can increase strain on your ACL. And also hyperextension, which is much less likely from an awkward landing or turn, will affect the amount of strain on your ACL. What is a good amount of hip internal rotation and how do I test for it? 35 degrees is a healthy range, and you can sit on a box or a table to test your internal rotation. Sit up as tall as you can with your hip at a 90-degree angle, and without leaning, rotate your femur and measure the angle. Why should I even care about this? We aren't playing competitive sports around here. You're right, we aren't, but almost all movements, including walking and squatting, involve some level of hip internal rotation. We all will, on occasion, have to move in unexpected ways in awkward positions on the fire ground. The more mobility we have available to us, the better off we will be. And don't you want to be able to play a pickup basketball game with your kids? Or just be a tiny bit athletic without fear of snapping your body parts? A lot of us have kids that play sports. Mobility and injury prevention is relevant to youth athletes as they grow and become active teenagers and adults. I have a son who is 20 years old, and I ask him to do things on a daily basis to improve the health, strength, and mobility of his joints. It matters. There are about 7.3 trillion hip internal rotation stretches and exercises on the internet, and plenty of disagreement about the best way to improve your hip internal rotation. So let me just give you one conventional stretch to work on. This will be a good starting point. The 90-90 stretch. Get into this position with a supporting hand or even use a bench or a wall to help you sit up. Just sit in a position for a minute. Then slowly move through as much range as you can for another minute. Then lean forward onto an elbow and do 10 reps of internal rotation. So you are getting a little mix of static, dynamic, and active stretching, all of which are beneficial. I would like for us to all be aware that hip mobility is important for healthy knees, and it's important for our jobs. Let's make 35 degrees of hip internal range of motion one of our mobility goals. My internal range, based on the test, was 27 degrees on the left and 28 degrees on the right. So obviously I have some work to do. There will definitely be more videos focused on mobility and joint health in the future, and I'll see you on the next one.